You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode number 37. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to go over a concept that I call the future self. This is something that we use very often in coaching. It is something we dive deep into in the academy. And if you have ever desired to live to your potential, show up at your best, and maybe sometimes struggled, having some fear, some doubt, some anxiety, or even overwhelm, then this episode will be extremely helpful for you. There's some techniques that you could take and apply to yourself, and also some approaches you can use with your clients. I'm also going to share with you one of my favorite coaching questions, so stay tuned for that as well. Now, it is fall, and I can't believe that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I'm very excited for Thanksgiving and just loving all of the changes of the colors and the season, and it's truly a lovely season. So, hope everyone is enjoying their fall and the weather getting cooler. This is a really reflective time of the year. I noticed that we get more interest in the academy, oftentimes around these months. I think it's because a lot of people are, maybe spending more time inside their head, reflecting, really considering the year that they've gone through, the year that's ahead, and starting to examine whether they're on the path they want to be on, whether they want to make some changes, and how they can start to, really align themselves with the person they want to be. So it's a really exciting time. I love this part of the year. So I want you to imagine that, to ease into this concept of future self, imagine that there was a timeline, okay? And this timeline, it represented your lifespan from beginning to end. So it's just a line, beginning to end. And your current self, the person you are right now, it's somewhere on that timeline, okay? So on that timeline, you've got your current self, and then you also have your past, which is everything before your current self. And then there's also another version of you that is farther along where you are right now. Okay, and that version of you exists on this timeline, and we're going to call that version of you your future self. With me so far? So what I want you to know is that this version of you, your future self, already exists. They're just at a different point on the timeline, okay? So you're either with all the decisions you make in your life, you're either moving further to or away from your future self. Okay? But it's always there. It's always available to you. It's not going to abandon you or leave you. And the future self represents the life you want. Okay? So you can imagine you're where you are right now. That's point A. You want to get to point B. This is what your life looks like when all of your dreams have come true, when all of your goals have been completed. Okay? When you're living the life that gives you the most meaning and joy. This is the life that your future self is experiencing right now. They're just a little bit further along on the timeline. Now, when most people make decisions, they are only operating with the awareness of their past self when making those decisions. So they think about where they came from, they think about the circumstances that they were born into, and they might also think about the cards that they were just dealt in their life, so to speak. So they're only aware of their past self. They have no idea that that future self even exists. They're not even seeing it. So they end up living at the effect of their life rather than at the cause of their life. Now, when it comes to you creating your future, being at the cause of your life, your past self is irrelevant. It's not useful for you. If you're looking to create a new future, it is not relevant for you to reference or rely on your past self. There's no useful information you're going to gather from your past self because your past self only knows how it got you to where you are right now. It has no idea how to get you where you want to be. So if you have a dream, a goal, or a vision, and you run it by your past self, like, hey, what do you think about this? Your past self goes, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't think it's going to work out. You've never done that one before. So the conversation is not really helpful. It doesn't go anywhere. So here's why this is key to understand. If there's one thing I want you to get from this episode, it's that your past self has all your fears. Your future self has all your answers. I'll share that one more time. Your past self has all your fears. Your future self has all your answers. So your future self is already living the dream life that you want to have. They are already experiencing it to the fullest. And they're just waiting for you to show up to the party to join them. I want you to really imagine that right now. I want you to picture that you're standing where you are. Your life is as it is, with all the dreams that you have that are not yet fulfilled. And now I want you to picture, like across the room, okay, if you're in a room, just picture across the room, you are witnessing your future self. They're standing there with all the dreams actualized. And they're like smiling at you and waving, and they're saying, come on, come join me. Life is pretty amazing here. I know your life is good where it is right now, but over here, oh my gosh, it is amazing. Come be a part of it. And it's important for you and your clients to visualize this fully, because when you do that, when you could see your future self, when it crystallizes in your brain, it will reinforce the belief for you that everything you desire is within possibility. It's attainable to you. It's all available to you. So for example, if you're a coach or desiring to become a coach and you have a goal to make $100,000 in the year or $1 million in the year, just by you declaring that goal, you also create, in our space-time continuum, you create a version of you where that goal is done. Isn't that incredible? That is truly the power that we have. So it's not even a question of whether your goal is achievable or possible. It's a matter of you taking steps to move closer to that version of you that already exists, so that way your current self meets up with your future self. You following me here? Once you create that desire and you have that goal, you put out into our space-time continuum that version of you. It's like, boom, there's the future self. You want to make $1 million as a coach? The $1 million coach version of you is in existence. They're waiting for you. They're like, hey, you got this. Just keep showing up. Just keep doing the thing. This is possible. Now, I have many conversations with my future self, sometimes even out loud when I'm alone in my house. And I am so clear about who my future self is, what they're like, the life that they're living. It's like I have a relationship in some degree with my future self. I call my future self Future Frank. And I'm so in touch with Future Frank. Okay, I am so aware of how he is showing up in his life, how he's operating. And I connect with my future self consistently. Okay, just like if there's someone in your life, you stay in touch with them, you keep that relationship strong. I think the relationship you have to your future self is one of the most important, if not the most important relationship you can have in your life. Okay, I know a lot of people say, your relationship with yourself matters most. I say that, yeah, there's truth to that. And part of that is the relationship you form with your future self. Okay, keeping that top of mind. So normally what I do, and what I encourage you to do to try this on, this concept, is picture yourself 5 years from now. Okay, so you have you right now and then plus 5 years, and that version of you has achieved all the goals that they wanted to achieve. Okay, life has become so much more purposeful and fulfilling. So you can think about and start picturing that person. Start picturing that person in your brain and start noticing, how do they show up in the world? What are they like? What's their personality like? What kind of attitude do they hold? What are they celebrating? What kind of person are they being? What gets them excited? right? It's almost like when you meet someone for the first time and you get curious about them, you want to understand the way they tick and you ask them questions. So let's get in touch with your future self. What are they like? Now listen, most people are very aware of their past self. They're very aware of all their fears and their doubts and insecurities and all the times that they've made mistakes or failed, etc. So you've already spent a lot of time getting to know your past self. It's only fair that you get to know your future self, the version of you that has everything, okay, that's experiencing life to the fullest. Now, I want you to truly try this on. This is an exercise that I will often use with clients whenever they have a goal, but they slip into doubt. You can imagine that you're just witnessing your future self, and you've got to describe that person with detail. What is that person like? Okay, I'll repeat some of the questions I shared earlier. What is that person like? What are they celebrating? What kind of attitude do they have? What are they excited about? Now, as I said, this is so powerful to use whenever you find yourself slipping into fear or doubt, because your future self doesn't entertain any of that. It doesn't entertain any doubt or anxiety. So if you feel doubt about a goal or a dream that you have, it just means that you've lost touch with your future self, and you just got to reconnect with them again. You just got to remind yourself, oh yeah, there's that version of me that already exists, that's already completed this goal. It's already solved this problem. All it takes is this moment for you to connect back to that version of you again. You just need to snap back into what is my future self experiencing? What are they like? Now you have to get to know your future self. It takes some time. It's like when you start dating someone, you've got to become incredibly interested in them, very curious about who they are, how they handle challenges, how they approach decisions. This is huge. Now, there's another concept that I share with coaches inside the academy, and it's the idea of what's called be, do, have. So be, do, have is referencing an orientation that someone has to their success. Now, when we show up to life with an attitude of be, do, have, which is who do I want to be? What does my future self want? And then what will that version tell me to do? That is the most empowering way to live. But unfortunately, some people are not accessing that part of them, so they get stuck. So one of the most common ways people approach life and their goals is from a have, do, be model. Have, do, be. Which is basically saying, when I have the time, when I have the money, then I'm going to start doing what I want to do. And only then will I be the person I want to be and live the life I want to live. So when people approach life from this have, do, be approach, they end up letting their circumstances define them. And this is the most disempowering way to approach life. It's unfortunately how most people navigate through the world. And that's no fault to them. It's just they're not aware of the other options. The second approach a lot of people take towards life and their success is a do, have, be model. So this is someone who really likes to get things done, make to-do lists, check those things off the list. People that are very hard workers, they have this understanding that the more I do, then the more I'm going to have. And the more I have, then the happier I'm going to be. So this type of worker approach to life, they believe that they must do more in order to get more and have more. So they approach life with this lens that they are defined by what they do. So they're usually very driven people, but they're also very busy and very tired. And the problem with this is that the more you do, the more there is still to do, because your brain keeps finding more things to do. And the more you have, the more you realize how much more there is still to have. But the more you have, the more there is to lose. So the harder you work. So this is why a lot of people get caught up in a rat race. The busier they are, the more successful they become, but they still end up feeling empty and fulfilled. Okay, we know that the link between having more things and being happier is a myth. So the happiness, unfortunately, never arrives. And then there's approaching life from the be, do, have model. The be, do, have. This is where you connect to your future self. So it means starting by asking yourself, who do I need to be? Who do I need to be? How would my future self approach this? What would they do? So you let the answers, the actions come from your future self as the reference point. And when you show up to life this way, when you make decisions coming from the future self, then the have just takes care of itself. It's amazing. So who do I need to be? What kind of person would have access to the kind of outcomes I want? Such a great question to ask yourself. When you think about a goal you have, what kind of person would have access to the kind of outcomes I want? That's your future self. Then if I were to be that kind of person, if I were to listen to that kind of person, what would I be doing? All of the have takes care of itself. Now, be, do, have, this approach to life, it's the rarest of the three. It's sometimes a little bit more abstract for people, but it is the only one that truly gets you to live the life of your dreams. So check in with yourself. How are you approaching your life? How are you approaching it in your goals and your decisions? Are you approaching it as someone that is waiting when I have the money, when I have the time, then I'm really going to show up for myself? Because when we have that approach to life, it creates victimhood. It's like, problem is I don't have yet. If I had what that person had, I'd certainly be as successful as them, but I don't, so I'm not. So this type of victimhood mentality, they're always waiting for the external things in their life to change before they can move ahead in their life. This is why a lot of people feel so stuck and never truly fulfilled. They're waiting for the stars to align, which is ultimately not in their control. So they are left feeling powerless, right? So are you approaching life? Are you approaching your goals from that victim approach, which is have, do, be? Are you approaching your life from a worker's approach, which is do, have, be? The more I do, the more I have. So I need to keep doing more and more and more and filling my calendar and being busier and busier and busier, right? What would it look like if you approached your life truly getting in touch with your future self, being that creator? Be, do, have. Who do I need to be? What kind of person would have access to the outcomes I want? And when I am that person, then what decisions would I make? What would I do? So you're making decisions, to summarize this, right? I know it can sound a little woo-woo, but stay with me here. When you make decisions from the reference point of your future self, you bring yourself closer to your future self. Okay? When you make decisions from the reference point of your past self, you actually bring yourself closer to your past self. Okay, you continue to stay stuck or stay where you are or feel like you're not progressing in your life. Okay? So I was having a coaching session with one of our students in the academy, and she was having some doubts about her coaching business. And I said, okay, let's drop everything and let's just get in touch with your future self. Tell me what she's like. The version of you that's already running a thriving coaching business, how would she handle this right now? What would she tell you to do? And immediately all of the answers became clear. All of the doubts dissolved for the coach that I was supporting. The future self has all the answers. It's incredible. So sometimes, right, you just need to tilt your head up, open up your arms and say, future self, guide me. Show me how to get to where you are. I want to meet you. I know you exist. Tell me, what do I need to do? What do I need to do right now? So what is your future self like? Are you starting to picture your future self? Are you starting to see them take form, take shape? Their personality emerge, their attitude come out? What if you devoted a little bit of time today to get to know your future self? You want to get to know them intimately, not small talk, like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Cool. How are you? Good. You want to really study them, really see what they're about. This version of you already exists. When you decide on a goal, when you have a vision for a future, there's immediately that future self that's created. It's in the future, but it's accessible to you. You just need to show up and decide to listen to that version of you. So you are either moving towards or away from your future self. With every decision you make, you're either moving towards your future self or away from them. Now, oftentimes when you do listen to your future self, when you get guidance from that source, the message they tell you is lean in, start, keep going, say yes, even if you don't feel ready. Trust yourself, keep showing up, right? The more that you talk to and connect with your future self, the more irrelevant your past becomes. It no longer even matters what your current circumstances are. They don't even matter because you're so in touch with your future self that's guiding you. Your current circumstances don't have any relevance. So there was a time when I was in a lower period of my life and I was spending a lot of time on the couch, on my phone, and on social media, just consuming, all these types of posts online, watching all these videos. And I ask myself, is the actions that I'm taking right now, the life I'm living, is it bringing me closer or farther away from my future self, from future Frank? And I realized that it was bringing me farther away. So maybe you've heard the expression that you're either growing or dying. I remember the first time I heard this, it was a hard one for me to accept. I thought that sounds kind of harsh. You're either growing or you're dying, but it's true. Right? In any given moment, you're either growing, you're either moving forward, moving towards your future self, or you're dying. You're shrinking up. Okay, you are diminishing your potential. That future self is there. It exists. It is a version of you that you are able to meet and experience. They're not going to leave you. They're not going to disappear on you. They just want you to make decisions that are going to bring you closer to them. Now, if you ever have a goal or a dream and you get caught up in how drama, what I call, I made a whole episode on how drama. It's one of the first episodes of this podcast. You need to get in touch with the who instead. So let me explain this. How drama, in case you haven't heard that episode, when you are wanting something in your life, you might go into overwhelm on, well, how am I going to get there? What's the strategy? What's the path? What are the steps I'm going to take? How am I going to make this happen? And it just creates a lot of stress. So when you get into how drama, you need to drop all that and get in touch with who. Okay, it can be mind-numbing to figure out how you're going to get somewhere for the first time, but you don't need to know the how. You just need to know the who. Who is the person on the other side of the how? Who is the person on the other side of the how? Now, this is your future self, right? So when you're caught up in all this how drama, drop the how altogether. The who will reveal the how. The who will reveal the how. They will reveal the next step for you to take. The future self's going to say, all you need to do is this. Just say yes to that thing. Just go talk to that person. Go make that phone call. Go get that thing done. So the who reveals the how. I was coaching someone recently, and they were having all of these types of decisions they were struggling to make. Do I want to market my business on Instagram, or should I make podcasts, or should I do webinars or Facebook? A lot of overwhelm on what they should be doing. And we just didn't indulge in any of that in the session. We dropped right into this client's future self. And I prompted her by saying, let's get in touch with your future self, the version of you that already has a thriving business. Describe that person to me. Who are they? What are they like? We dropped all that how drama, and we got right in touch with the who. And once this client was so vividly clear, crystal clear on who she is, her future self, that has all the success, the thriving business, now that we access that version of her, I said, so what's that version of you telling you that you need to do? What's the step you need to take? And there was so much calm, so much peace, so much clarity that came up, and she was able to establish the perfect plan for her. And there was no drama around it. The future self has all of your answers. So I want to end with one of my favorite coaching questions. And that question is, this is a great question to use with yourself or your clients whenever you have a decision in front of you. You're at a crossroads. You're not sure what to do. You're torn between different options. You're not sure if you want to keep your life where it is or make a change. The question to ask yourself is, what would my future self thank me for? What would my future self thank me for? So if I'm deciding if I want to stay in on the couch or go exercise, what would my future self thank me for doing? If I'm deciding if I want to stay in a career or not, what would my future self thank me for? If I'm deciding if I want to stay in a relationship or not, what would my future self thank you for? The answer will become so clear. Sometimes the answer is not easy. It might be very uncomfortable, but it will always guide you forward. It will always up-level your life. All you need to do is follow through with that decision. Just do it. Listen to your future self. Your future self has all the answers. It's the best source for you to listen to, especially when you're stuck. And your future self is your guide for you to live the most fulfilling life. That's what I got on this episode on the future self. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.